to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncers' guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Joe Pugh for IFL TV. We're here at the Lynn Boxing Club. Big day for yourself. First of all, I'll just give you the mic. Why are we here, Eddie?
Well, we're here because about a month ago I noticed that the Lynn had closed down. The club was quite literally falling apart. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. And this is my first time here, but everyone knows about the Lynn Boxing Club. Everyone knows about its heritage. Everyone knows about fighters that have come from here, the job and role that it does in the community. You know what we're doing in terms of those kind of moves. And Ellie Scottney, who is our world champion, also comes within. Mike Costello, who is our lead commentator on DAZN, grew up in between these walls as well. And I couldn't believe that the club had closed down. So I reached out to the club and found out what was needed to renovate the club and get the work done. And we decided to give them the money, basically, to get it done and reopen the doors. And that's what we're doing here today. We're meeting everybody. The works are getting underway. We're delivering them the money to do that. And we're sending a message to really local government, the community, the council, to say, why are we having to save these places when the roles that they provide for kids in the community and in general are so important to the development of young people? But we'll help wherever we can. And this was a place that it cannot close. We cannot see places like Lynn ABC, who have over 100 years of history, just evaporate. So we're here and we're going to make it happen. And this place will officially reopen on our September 30th fight week, where Eddie Scottney defends their world title, Jordan Thompson challenges for the world title, etc. So, yeah, good day today for this place, which is steeped in history and so important to the community. You think this place is open every single night of the week, and there's hundreds of kids from the area that come in, Peckham, Camberwell, Streatham, wherever. You imagine taking that away from them. A kid that comes here 2 or 3 times a week, a kid that has very little motivation, very little guidance, very little positivity. You're taking that away from the kids that come here, and you're stopping bringing new kids into that environment to change their life. And I just can't believe that the way that things are at the moment with the younger generation, that the government and local councils don't see this as a win-win-win. Like, every kid that comes through these doors will improve their life. Guaranteed. It's a given. Speak to anyone that's walked through an amateur boxing club. And in areas like this, you don't have positivity. You don't have hope. You don't learn discipline and manners and hard work just by floating around on your phone or listening to negativity or getting in with the wrong crowds. This is the kind of place that can change the direction of a young person's life. And we're delighted to make sure that it continues, because otherwise they just evaporate. And it's full of volunteers, people that not just give their time, give their life to clubs like this. So the least we can do is step in and help when we can. We can't do it to every club. The government, and we will be contacting them, and we'll be messaging and hammering that home. But where we can, we want to help, and we're pleased to do it at the Lynn.
How refreshing is it to do something positive when everything we know in the world of boxing, who said that, what said what, the drug tests, but this is a very positive thing. There's no negative spin anyone can put on this, and this just helps the next generation.
We're boxing people. From 8 years old, boxing's consumed my life. It's filled my heart with happiness and enjoyment. It's taught me so much. It's moulded me as an individual. That's sport, by the way, not just boxing, but boxing particularly. And, with all the rubbish that goes on in the professional game, every kid that walks through here, no one is talking about what promoter said what, or who's signed up for VADA, or what networks. They come in here with a clear mind and a purpose and a hope to change their life, to learn. And you know, you look up in that picture up there, and there's a young girl in the front called Ellie Scotland, right? I don't know how old she is there, 8, 9. At a time where young girls really didn't come in amateur boxing clubs. I mean, you know, Katie Taylor was paving the way, but this is probably 15 years ago or more. To look up at that photo and see a young girl that came with a dream to become a world champion, that shows you what these places can do. But as I said to Coach, it's not just about walking through these doors to become a world champion. Of course, every boxing club wants to produce great fighters. But I don't care if a parent sends their kids to the boxing club and they never get in the ring and spar. My own daughter, she's never sparred. I don't think she ever will. But I'm telling you now, she's changed her mindset on life through her amateur boxing club. I've seen it firsthand. So, you know, these places open to all. You're gonna find some great fighters that have come out of this place, and will continue to. But it's just about getting people through the doors and just showing them some positivity in a world that is full of negativity.
Eddie, we will move on to something slightly more negative. The news broke last night. I am sorry to do it after inspirational monologue there. But Joe Cusimano has come back with adverse findings. First of all, frustrated or pleased? Because you could look at it either way.
Yeah, never pleased, because at the end of the day, this is actually quite a unique one in that it was a test conducted by the New York State Athletic Commission of an undercard fighter on the night of his fight. And it took a long time. You know, just to clarify a point on time, obviously the more money you pay, the faster those results come through. New York State Athletic Commission conduct their own testing, which is what they've done here. And obviously it's a testing process that takes quite a long time to get the results. I think in this instance it's 7 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever it is. So we got alerted this week from them that there was an adverse finding. They are a very professional commission and have basically told us we are now dealing with this, with our process, and we wanted to let you know. So that's actually what we want. You know, we want a commission that says, this has happened, now we're dealing through it, we're going through the process. So, never, to be honest with you, there's been a massive sway of positivity over the last few days and week where people are actually not congratulating adverse findings, but they're saying, good, you know, we're moving in the right direction. And I think that's a definite, you know, we've had the back and forwards on people aren't paying for testing and we're the only ones and no one's paying for additional testing. But the argument doesn't really apply. We've got to worry about ourselves. I hope that people will follow suit. But as I said, when we are the only ones testing at that level, we are going to have adverse findings. This one was actually a little bit left field in that it came from the commission. But never good. But, you know, you're going to see it.
Is it worrying, though? Because I think it was 10 weeks since he fought. Theoretically, an undercard fighter could fight again within that 10 weeks or could be scheduled to fight. So is there a little bit of urgency needed when coming to test results?
I mean, I can't comment on the New York State Athletic Commission's testing programme. I think it's good they are testing, you know, firstly. You always want results as quickly as possible. You know, the reality is you know, you saw Chris Eubank post, was it a day before, 2 days before his fight last week, been tested. He won't get those results. Well, you won't actually get those results from UCAD because they only tell you unless you've failed a test. But for 4 to 6 weeks. So, you know, I think the biggest thing we need to implement is make sure there is a fear amongst boxers that they are going to be tested at any moment. And then if you are thinking about doing something, you shouldn't be. Hopefully that will make you think twice. And the volatility of testing, that's the important thing. And, you know, you've seen all the articles from UCAD about people just not getting tested. I don't blame UCAD and I don't blame the board because the investment needed to test people with greater volatility, it costs a lot of money. But I actually think the UCAD testing process for the British Boxing Board of Control is good because other commissions don't have that. They test on the night. They don't have a random testing program 365 days a year where anyone can be tested if they're a member. But maybe we invest some more money with the board and with UCAD to increase that volatility of testing, like I said. I don't know. Liam Smith got tested once in camp, twice, and 0. I had no idea. But those kind of numbers where really over a 12-week camp you should be tested, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So it's an ongoing debate. I'm pleased at where we're at with it now. We've really got it by the scruff of the neck, and I'm really pleased with the positivity that I've seen back from fans saying, good. I mean, when he tested positive, a lot of the responses for me were, another one, yes. It's like, we don't. And I think sometimes people don't test because is it that they don't want a show to be cancelled the day of the fight, or because that's the game that we're playing. It's never a game, but like the dice that we're rolling is at any moment we can receive the results of a test, to cancel the fight, and that costs us not just 30 grand for testing, hundreds of thousands of pounds. So if Eubank and Smith were on VADA testing and one of them tested positive and it came out on fight week and the show was cancelled, costs boxer 400-500 grand, bankrupt him. Do you know what I mean? No, but I'm serious. So some people probably don't want to know, but that's not really a great argument, is it? We have to know for the future of the sport.
Just want to get your opinion on Simon Jordan's comments. It came out, I think, 2-3 hours ago now. He sit down with Spencer Oliver. He looked like he was in support of VADA, kind of criticising Ben Shalom not for putting that in place. And then he suddenly made a U-turn and said, why would any British promoter want to use VADA when Conor Benn's legal team, his words, driven a bus through it because it doesn't hold up with the British Boxing Board of Control? Because
you're not getting tested enough with UCAD. I don't understand this argument. Don't you want as much testing as possible? Like, ultimately, the British Boxing Board of Control are aware of every VADA test. So, the Conor Benn situation, I think a lot has happened since that Conor Benn situation, and he talks about things he doesn't know what he's talking about regarding that case. But you can't just say, everyone knows that UCAD are under-resourced and they're not testing enough. So how can you say, oh, no, let's just leave them to do it? You're openly admitting they don't test enough and they're under-resourced. So don't you want to make the sport safer? So now what Simon Jordan is saying, we don't want VADA testing. OK, well, if you don't want VADA testing, let me know, because it's going to save me about £1 million a year. Thank you. But that's bullshit, isn't it? If we actually really want to make this sport safer, we need as much testing as possible. So he's just backtracking because he doesn't want to criticise anyone else. He doesn't really want to give us any props. What he should just say is, more testing are better. You know what I mean? And that's how you're going to make the sport safer. Without VADA, Conor Benn wouldn't have had an adverse finding. Without VADA, Dillian White probably wouldn't have had an adverse finding. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you would have had those fights taking place. And so I don't get it, really. It's really weird. Like, Simon Jordan should be saying UCAD's testing is not robust enough.
Moving on to Benn Eubank then. Was there talks prior to this fight with Callis Howell and Team Eubank, or is it full steam ahead as of now?
Oh, yeah, we will. Look, everybody from Eubank, from Wasserman, wanted to fight Conor Benn instead of Liam Smith. Of course, it's a fight they probably thought was easier, and it was a fight that was going to pay him more than double. Because of the incidents and because of the board appealing and everything, we couldn't get that fight done in time. He had to fight Liam Smith. Bingo for Chris Eubank Jr. because he won. Now, it's full steam ahead. I met with Callis Howell, and yesterday we had great talks. This fight's happening. Yes, we are full steam ahead for this fight. We're going to do everything we can from both sides to make the fight. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but look, it's the biggest fight for Chris Eubank Jr. It's the biggest fight for Conor Benn. We want to make it. Calla wants to make it. So we'll do everything we can, and those conversations began yesterday.
I don't know if you saw Frank Warren's comments. He said it's a nonsense for this fight to happen. It can't happen, and he proposed Zach Parker as a fighter for Chris Eubank to fight next.
Yeah. Is it as much of a nonsense as David Hay fighting Derek Chisora under a Luxembourg commission at West Ham? Look, again, the king of hypocrisy. Like, how's it a nonsense? I mean, it's the biggest fight in Britain outside of Fury against AJ. So, unfortunately for Frank, he's going to have to sit back and watch this one unfold.
Zach Parker, Eubank Jr.?
Zach Parker, he just got stopped by John Ryder in 2 rounds or 3 rounds. I mean, why don't you make, I don't know, who else have they got around that way? Make some fights. Why don't you make Hamza Shiraz against Denzel Bentley? Why would you want to marinate that? I mean, I listened to him the other night. Yeah, marinate that. Maybe when they've both got a world title, then we can sell out the O2. Shut up, make the fight now. It's a good fight. With all due respect, Zach Parker against Chris Eubank Jr. is not exactly Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn selling out Wembley, is it? So, you know, enjoy getting your dough from Fury and Garner and pretending you're promoting it, and then watch Eubank Benn unfold. And Zach Parker can fight someone else. Zach Parker can fight maybe Diego Pacheco. Good fight.
We'll move on to Anthony Joshua. Just a couple more things. You said yesterday in a couple of interviews it's moving slow. First of all, reasons for the slowness of it, and is it worrying that it's not moving at the pace you'd want it to be moving at?
I mean, when people seem surprised that I said it's moving slow, I mean, we have been talking about it for 2 or 3 months. Obviously, when AJ decided to fight in August, they wanted to wait for that fight to unfold. Politically, there's a lot happening within sport in Saudi Arabia and in boxing as well. It's a lot of money, and you know, one of the questions I had yesterday is, what's taking so long? It's like, you know, when there's a fight of this magnitude and you're extracting that much money from the government and sports councils and the royal courts, it does take time. So for us, every conversation we've had with Saudi, the money's already been discussed, the money's already been agreed. So we've just got to contract it, and we've got to make sure that it's, you know, goes through the correct process like it always has done when we've had shows out there. But until it's signed, it's not done. And there will get to a point where if it's not done, we'll want to fight in December. And if we're going to fight in December, we really need to know by the end of September. So we've got time, but yeah, I would like it to be moving quicker.
If AJ were to fight in December, 2 questions. Would it be the same type of opponent as Robert Helenius? I know it was meant to be Dillian White before that. And would that fight take place in the UK?
I think it would be a level up from Helenius. You know, I think it would be... Yeah, I think it's confident to say it would be an improvement from Helenius, and I think it's very likely that it would be outside of the UK. We've had a number of countries come on to stage an Anthony Joshua fight, but also we've done 2 fights back-to-back at the O2. So we'll see. But we're not, you know, I'm not out there speaking to people for AJ's December fight. It's just in the mind, if we don't move forward with this Wilder fight in the next couple of weeks, we may consider a December fight. For people that might go, oh, Hearn's getting out of the Wilder fight now. No. We only want to do the Deontay Wilder fight. That's it. But if we can't and it starts dragging into February and March, and then we will definitely look at a fight in December.
Last one, that would be some month from wouldn't it? AJ, but Benn, Eubank, Sonny Edwards, and potentially Pro Grey Haney.
Yeah. It actually, December will look like that for Matchroom, I believe. So, you know, Haney Pro Grey, Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr., Bam Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards. But look, hopefully AJ doesn't fight in December, because then that means we won't be fighting Wilder in January. But if, like I said, if that's pushed, then you will see one of the biggest months of all time in December. But we'll see.
Very last one. If AJ does fight in December and Benn Eubank happens, does that 2 pay-per-views on DAZN in a month?
I mean, the last 2 AJ fights weren't pay-per-view on DAZN. So I don't think DAZN will be looking to stage multiple pay-per-views over the month. Depends where the fight is, depends who the opponent is. But yeah, it's not something we're thinking about at the moment. Let's see if we can get one of the 2.
To not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt rings.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.